Hello everybody, welcome to a Witchy Treehouse speed build for The Sims 4. I was super inspired watching the new trailer for the upcoming expansion pack that I don't remember the name of because I never remember anything, but we're able to have our Sims build tree houses as families in that pack now. So it's like, wow, time to build a tree house, which I don't think I've ever truly attempted before because I never really saw a lot of trees that I felt like worked for it. And I spent a long time going through the catalog to see what kind of tree, and I realized that we have separate leaf pieces that you can kind of raise up and add to the bare trees. So that tree, I don't even know what that's from, possibly vampires. So I was like, oh, these go really well together. And it doesn't really interfere with looking into the build at all, surprisingly. I thought that, you would try and look in or lower the walls and it would just be, leaves in your way. But they disappear, pretty easily, and I play tested this build so many times, and it should be functional, but there's a lot of problems. I place objects outside that somehow interfere with the, interior of the build for some reason. I thought that I was going to have a huge problem with that giant werewolf stump that's outside, but I think as the house is, raised high enough, it doesn't really register. But at some point, I don't know why, the tree starts to make the build unplayable. And I don't know why, because I play tested and everything worked. And then, I went back on a few days later to, I think to record the intro for this video. And the kitchen wasn't working again, which is, the biggest problem I've had this entire build was the kitchen wasn't functional. And I couldn't know what it was because the sim wasn't telling me what was wrong. And so this time I was like, okay, let me try and move this tree over a little bit. And I did, and then it was functional. So sometimes the tree makes it, not playable. I don't know if I fixed it completely. So if you download it on the gallery, it might be annoying and you might have to move things around. It's a really cheap build though. I was surprised. I think it came out to 22,000 simoleons, which is close to a starter home, but just a little bit more, I think. I feel like I'm making that up somehow because I feel like this looks like it was way more expensive than that. But I remember seeing that. I could be wrong though. Who knows? I'm not sure, but the build itself is very tiny anyway. You could really only have one sim live here, possibly two, but the bed is kind of against the wall, which I don't like for my gameplay with two sims because it's kind of annoying to have a sim scoot over in the bed, and it just causes problems. So I wouldn't recommend, but yeah. I think I spent majority of the time in this build making sure the outside was pretty because I was like, it needs to look cute. It's this nice little treehouse build. I should put some more effort into the landscaping, and I wasn't sure what to do at first because I usually like to create hills and stuff to make the lot more interesting. But if I did that, then it would kind of it wouldn't work with the raised up house right next to it. So I was like, okay, I gotta lower something. So I made a pretty large pond. It takes up half the lot. And then I did the island in the middle of it. And I feel like it works out perfect for this. I don't think I would have changed anything about that. But the, roofing and stuff, it's very, normal, my style that I like to build in. Which is nice because I feel like recently I've been building a lot of stuff that's, a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. And I haven't really been able to just do a little build for myself, and I feel like this was kind of that, even though it was difficult to raise it up and have to hope that the Sims can use all of the items. But I'm using most of my favorite items, like that door from the Oasis kit, which I do bring back. Do I bring it back? No, I didn't. Okay. Werewolves is my other favorite door anyway. Both of them look great on the house, so it doesn't even matter. I love those fairy lights too, and I wanted this entire build to be pretty much covered in fairy lights, but it didn't work out because I had to delete some because they were also interfering with the interior of the house for some reason. I feel like sometimes the Sims, they like to use items and then other times they don't, so it's really just like putting items and hoping that you could get it right at some point. But it is really pretty at night. I do like all of the lights and the lanterns in the tree. I feel like we have a tree that has lanterns already on it, but I don't know. I think that that tree is like way too big. So I'm glad that I found this combination because I might end up using that a lot. And I made this little dock area with books that might get soggy if it rains, but it's like a magical build, so maybe there's a spell that prevents them from getting water damaged. And that leaf pile ends up becoming stinky. A lot of stuff in this build ends up being stinky because it took me so long to playtest that by the time I uploaded it, everything was rotting. So I have like a bunch of cute little things in the house with like food items, and then they're all just rotten. I don't remember if in the intro video if there's stink clouds over the food or not, but it's a possibility. I like that I put the broom leaning against the tree. I need to try and remember to do that. Because sometimes I'll just, like, build and I'll forget stuff. And then when I'm doing a voiceover, I'm like, Megan, please remember that and do that in your other builds. And then I always forget. So it's like starting over every single time. I, like, pick something that I really enjoy and then it's just, like, out. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never built in my life. But this is the interior now. As you could see, very tiny. I don't think that I could have gotten many rooms in here. I leave this as a complete open space. So it's like the bedroom, dining room, kitchen. There's no walls. At first I was considering, I'm like, should I have the bathroom somewhere down here? But I figured that would be hard to take pictures because taking pictures in a tiny build is really difficult, especially if you have walls everywhere. So I was like, let me just try and make this as open as I possibly can have it. So the bathroom is in the tower upstairs, which surprisingly is the most functional. It gave me no issues, and it's like the tiniest part of the build. But yeah, the dining room, most of this stays pretty much the same. I make the mistake I always do, and that's forgetting that I want to have a fireplace in my build so that I could have the smoke out of the chimneys. And, like, yeah, I could just, like, place one down on, like, outside just for the pictures, but I don't know. Something makes me not want to do that every time. But this is the kitchen that, like, gave me a million problems. I ended up having to take multiple breaks trying to figure it out. This has only happened to me once before, and it was one of my other build videos. It was like, I think my swampy overgrown build, because that's like a 2-part video. The interior, I had to just like stop building and just like quit the game for a little while, which never happens to me. So for some reason, I have the worst luck with making functional kitchens. So like, I was even surprised. I didn't think that that stove would work, like squeezed in between 2 counters, where it's, like, almost taking up half a tile just for the stove. That part works, but, like, for some reason, a light outside makes it not functional, then the tree doesn't make it functional. But I'm glad that the tree caused an issue, because I don't really like how it looks cutting in, and, like, I had placed some of the greenery down there, so I was trying to hide some of like the tree parts that were sticking out. It didn't make any sense, so it was for the best that the tree caused a problem, because then I didn't have to like look at just giant branches that make no sense through the walls. Because it would be cute if it was like incorporated into the build everywhere, like there was logs and branches going through the walls everywhere, which is a cute idea. I'm gonna have to remember that. Tapping my head to remember. I'm not gonna remember. But yeah, this bathroom, surprisingly like functional. I had originally tried to put the fireplace up here. So I was like, oh yeah, the fireplace will fit. It like didn't. So I was like, okay, scrap that. Time to rechange the entire downstairs again. Luckily I cut most of it out. But I feel like this bathroom, I don't know if I left in the playtesting or not. I might have been talking over it and it probably already happened. But yeah, I added another window. I hope that I kept it because it's so dark up there. But when I was doing the like fireplace, I think I deleted it. So who knows at this point. But I love that bed. It's like the little dirty rundown bed. I kind of wish I kept the rocking chair too. There's no actual living room space in this build, but they could sit on the hay bale and do the like cross stitching. So yeah. What else do I put in this build? Oh, I put a telescope because I was thinking about Vicky's stream, who's Siren Witch on Twitch. And oh, that rhymes, Siren Witch on Twitch. I love that. Okay. I'm already distracted. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, she said that it's not a real build unless there's a telescope. I think that was her who said that. And so I placed that with like that repeating in my head over and over again. I'm like, Megan, it's not a build unless you put a telescope. And I feel like this is the exact build you'd want a telescope, because I think about like The Sims 2, where if you had the telescope very high up, it increased the likelihood of getting abducted by aliens, which, thinking about it, maybe that was just my like child brain being confused by it and thinking that was real. So who knows? Because that could be like completely not the case, but that's what I was like always told growing up. So I hope that that's right. I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoy the pumpkins outside of this house. I was like, when I was placing them, I was like, oh, I haven't put pumpkins around. When it was fall, I put pumpkins in every single build. And then I guess I got tired of it because I was doing Halloween builds from like August to early November. That's a long time to do Halloween builds. So this kind of feels like a Halloween build anyway, maybe. But yeah, here I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to place this fireplace. So I have to move everything around, which it's okay. It doesn't take too long, and I keep most of the items and I just like scoot them over. Wasn't really a huge deal. Where I put it on like the left wall. I don't know how long it takes me to figure that out. A lot of attempts though. Yeah, I don't know what is causing it. I wish that like we had like a better way of telling what item is causing it. Oh yeah, the whole time it was that light. It was the chandelier, which I only tried to do because I remember watching Mossy Sim build, and she like her Sims couldn't walk because there was a chandelier that was a little bit low. So I was like, Megan, maybe you should check that. And then it was exactly that. So it was good thinking. But yeah, the kitchen, I came back to this days later. This is when I was like, oh, the kitchen, I didn't really add much to it, so maybe I should clutter it a little bit. And then that's when everything started going wrong and the build was no longer functional. But turns out it wasn't even me. It was just the tree decided to be that. And there is a pee puddle on the kitchen floor by the stove because I play tested for so long that my sim peed herself. So that's that. Did I show the apples that I put? Yeah, okay. Because I was going to say, I'm like, I spent so long trying to position these apples in this basket if I didn't show it. And then I had to move everything over. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm not moving all the apples over again. So I need to keep that. Because everyone always puts fruits in that basket. And I'm like, I want to do that. But I'm like so lazy. But the apples have like 4 fruit in it at a time. So, but yeah, that's the whole video. So you can find me mostly on Instagram. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week with my next video. Bye.